I'm pretty much an amateur in the world of fixing and building custom cars, so I was a little bit nervous before I cut this hole in the hood of my Camaro. I watched like 15 videos, read like 37 forum posts, measured about 150 times before I actually made that first cut. Luckily, it came out pretty dang good. But I did learn a few things along the way that I thought I'd share for anyone who's looking for more information before they make their first cut. This is the iBest Wolf from Amazon. Link is in the description. It's about 40 to 45 bucks at the time of this filming. And as far as I know, it's the most affordable extractor on the market. This model doesn't have a water tray, just so you know, but that really didn't matter to me. If it matters to you though, you're probably gonna wanna go with a different brand. And I'm no heat extractor expert. The main reason I got this in the first place was because simply it looks awesome, and it was another way to tie in the other black accents on the car. Bonus, it actually helps remove heat from under the hood. And these cars can be a little notorious for being hot under the bonnet. So that's like double dragon. My car gets to look cooler and function better. Seems like a no-brainer. And it's all like less than 50 bucks in parts. So I'm gonna quickly go over how I installed it, tools that I used, the measurements, and what I used to coat it. As far as the template, I just saved the box that it came in, set it on the box, grabbed a Sharpie, and just made a line all around the outside edge to get the initial template. From there, I just measured the lip all around the inside of the back, and it's a little over a ½ inch. And then just take that measurement, measure yourself, don't go off my measurement. Then just transfer that measurement to some random spots down your line. Like this. All down the edge. So then I just connected all the dots, which gave me something that looks like this. I cut out the inside line, which gave me the template that I was going to use to cut on the hood. So after that, I had a template that looked like this, except made out of cardboard. And just set that on the hood and tape it into place. There's some differing advice online on the measurements of where you should put this, but I went with the stock measurements for like the 2014, 15, and then I think I bumped it up like an inch or two. So if you like the way this one looks, here's my measurements, but you can always double check those across multiple sources online if you would like. So from the top of the hood to the top of the cutout, 16 inches. From the very peak of the hood to the very peak of the cutout, 11 inches. The top of the side of the cutout to this edge is 6.5. From the bottom corner to this edge, that's right about 6.5 also. So the first thing I did was just put a little piece of tape on each corner of the template and kind of set it on there and did these measurements like 50,000 times to make sure it was good. And then once I got it all measured out and was confident that I had it where I wanted, and just so you know, you have like a little bit of play, a little bit of margin for error on this if you mess up, because once you get it in there, there's a little bit of room in which you can move it around. If you leave yourself just a little bit of buffer room, you don't have to be dead nuts perfect. Still, I would strive for perfection, but just in case that doesn't happen, you know, relax a little. Anyway, once you got that set, then I just kind of got some tape, put it all around the edge of the template, and then got a Sharpie again And there was a little bump out from the cardboard underneath the tape that you can see, and just trace the line along the tape. That way, whenever I was making the cut into the hood, you're cutting through tape instead of just going directly into the paint. And apparently that's supposed to potentially help with chipping the paint or any issues like that. It's also a good idea to get a big blanket and throw down on your engine bay, because once you start hacking, there's going to be aluminum shrapnel falling down in there, and it's probably not the best idea to have that falling down into your stuff. To actually make the cuts, I used two different tools. The first one was this cheap Wally World Hyper Tough cutoff wheel. I use that to cut out the line all around through the tape into the hood. However, there was some spots where you have the metal brace going through this thing. So you have your outer layer, and then connected to that, you have this brace, which goes like this. Maybe if I had a bigger cutoff wheel, I could have got through both, but since I didn't, and the areas where this brace was, I had to bust out the Sawzall. Let's hear 20-year-old Makita with a cord and everything. And making the cut through the braces wasn't even that difficult, except for it was a little bit of a pain in the ass up here in the very front, where you have this brace that runs across right where you're making that turn. So I had to kind of, think about it, take my time, not be in a big rush, and just know. Gets a little more challenging up here in that front brace, but man, if I can do it, you can do it. Boom, hole in the hood. From there was a little bit of, roughness around the edges that I kind of cleaned up with kind of bending some off with my finger. I got a metal file and gave it like a rough, clean up around the edge, with the intention of doing a better job, one day in the future. And that day hasn't come yet. You could also put some touch-up paint around the edge to protect it. It's aluminum, it's debatable if that's necessary or not, but one of these days. There's the point where you can set that bad boy in there, step back, look at it, be like, yeah, that looks awesome. Take some photos, post them to Instagram, show how awesome you are. But then once you get your photos done, you got to finish the job. So you have to actually attach the extractor to the hood. So I just went to Lowe's, Home Depot, Rural King, Farm and Home, one of those places, and got a long piece of aluminum, and then cut that bad boy into 3 different strips. One is 14 inches, and the other 2 are 21 and a half. I'll put all the measurements that I've spouted out in the description. Comes with 6 screws coming out of it, and then this little tab here in the middle. I just removed that. I removed it because when you drill your holes and go to set it in place, that tab was sticking up kind of in the way, and I just didn't want to mess with it. So I just popped that out, and once you do, you can actually get your piece of aluminum flat across here like that. So the short one's for the top, and then the 2 longer ones are for the middle and the back. From there, I just flipped it upside down. I set the piece of metal on top, and then I just marked the top of the aluminum where I wanted to drill, drilled it out. More good news is you have a little wiggle room, margin for error on these too, because these move at least, I don't know, ½ inch each one. So if your hole measurements aren't extremely precise, that's okay, because there's some built-in forgiveness. And I really appreciate having a margin for error. I use the nylon lock nuts for a little extra security. Do not over tighten. You will crease your hood. Put it on little bits at a time, making sure that you're just getting it only as snug as you need it. I just got it loosely finger tight enough to be able to kind of still move it around and get it perfectly aligned exactly where I want it. Here's what it looks like underneath the hood once that's all in. I made sure to have these go long enough to where they sit on this hood brace. If you cut them too short and put them in there, then it bends the metal too much. So all the way to the edge of the hood brace on the bottom two, and then up here you're just good. I haven't put my hood liner back on yet, but I do plan to eventually either cut a hole out of the stock liner or get a different one, because the stock one has the Chevy symbol right in the middle, right where you cut that out. So I'm gonna look around different ones and see if there's different styles or whatever that I might want to cut into. I don't know yet. Also, mine's a little bit blacker right now than what they look like when you first get them. This is a original part. When you set it, so when you set these next to each other, you can see that there's a pretty big difference in the color. I've been messing around with a bunch of different trim coatings lately and just trying different stuff. And for this one, I used SEM Trim Black, which is actually not like a coating or dressing. This is actually paint. So I prepped it and sprayed it and just kind of wanted to see how this looked and how it held up to some other trim products too. I think it looks great, and it went on really easy, and they have a matte, a satin, and a gloss, so you can kind of pick which one you want. This is the satin. I wanted to see what that one looked like first and put on here. And I think I'm gonna take this other one and paint it in the gloss one and do a video on that and kind of compare what they look like. So would I buy this heat extractor again? Yep. It's insanely cheap, looks great, functions well. And even though cutting into the hood can be a little bit intimidating, it's completely doable as long as you're prepared. What do you think? Do you like the look? Is there anything I should have done differently? Please share your thoughts or experiences or anything that I may have done wrong that help other people in the future in the comments. And as always, likes and subscribes mean the world to me, so please consider doing one or both of those things. I appreciate you. I'll see you next week.